If you're a history buff, then you need to know how a tiny flea changed the course of Europe forever. This seemingly insignificant insect, carrying the deadly Yersinia pestis bacterium, would become the harbinger of one of the most devastating pandemics in human history. The Black Death, as it came to be known, was not just a medical crisis. It was a social, economic and cultural earthquake that left an indelible mark on the continent. The Black Death, also known as the bubonic plague, swept through Europe in the mid-1300s. Originating in the arid plains of Central Asia, it travelled along the Silk Road, reaching Europe through trading ships that docked at Mediterranean ports. The disease spread like wildfire, facilitated by the movement of armies, merchants and pilgrims. By the time it reached the shores of Europe, it was an unstoppable force. It wasn't just a disease. It was a catastrophic event that reshaped society. The symptoms were horrifying: fever, chills, vomiting, diarrhea, terrible aches and pains, and then, in short order, death. The sight of plague doctors in their eerie beaked masks became a common yet terrifying sight. These doctors, though well-intentioned, were largely powerless against the virulent disease. In just 5 years, the plague wiped out 25 million people. This staggering death toll represented about 1/3 of Europe's population at the time. The sheer scale of the mortality was unprecedented, and it left a trail of mass graves and abandoned homes in its wake. Entire families were wiped out, and the social fabric of communities was torn apart. Cities turned into ghost towns, and entire villages vanished. The once bustling streets of medieval cities were now eerily silent, save for the occasional cart carrying the dead to mass graves. The countryside fared no better. Many villages were completely deserted, their fields left untended and their homes falling into ruin. The workforce was decimated, leading to a labour shortage that shifted the balance of power. With so many labourers dead, those who survived found themselves in high demand. This newfound leverage allowed them to negotiate better wages and working conditions, something that had been unthinkable just a few years earlier. Peasants, once bound to the land, found new opportunities. The rigid feudal system that had kept them in a state of near slavery began to crumble. They could now move to different regions in search of better opportunities, and many did. This mobility was a significant factor in the eventual decline of feudalism. They could demand better wages and conditions, setting the stage for the end of feudalism. Landowners, desperate for labour, had no choice but to acquiesce to the demands of the workers. This shift in power dynamics was a crucial step towards the more modern economic systems that would eventually emerge in Europe. Meanwhile, the Church's influence waned as people questioned why their prayers went unanswered. The Black Death shook the very foundations of medieval society, including its religious institutions. The Church, which had been the cornerstone of daily life, found its authority questioned as people sought answers that the clergy could not provide. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. The aftermath of the plague saw a period of social and economic transformation. With fewer people to share the wealth, those who survived found themselves in a better position than before. This newfound prosperity led to a flourishing of culture and innovation. The scarcity of workers spurred technological innovation. With fewer hands to do the work, there was a pressing need for more efficient methods of production. This led to the development of new tools and techniques in agriculture, manufacturing and other fields. These innovations would lay the groundwork for the technological advancements of the Renaissance. And with fewer mouths to feed, the survivors enjoyed better diets and living conditions. The reduced population meant that there was more food and resources to go around. People ate better, lived in less crowded conditions, and had access to more land and resources. This improvement in living standards contributed to a healthier and more robust population. The Black Death didn't just change Europe, it transformed it. The pandemic acted as a catalyst for profound social, economic and cultural changes. It accelerated the decline of feudalism, spurred technological innovation, and led to a more prosperous and dynamic society. The Europe that emerged from the ashes of the Black Death was fundamentally different from the one that had existed before. It was a dark chapter that led to the dawn of a new era. The suffering and loss were immense, but they also paved the way for a period of renewal and growth. The resilience and adaptability of the survivors set the stage for the Renaissance, a time of unprecedented cultural and intellectual flourishing. So next time you think about the Middle Ages, remember, sometimes it takes a massive shake-up to move forward. The Black Death was a tragedy of unimaginable proportions, but it also served as a turning point in European history. It forced society to adapt, innovate and ultimately to progress. The lessons learned from this dark period continue to resonate today, reminding us of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity.